We do have a call-in component here at the show, and this is sort of a segue between a debate and kind of a meet the candidate forum. But we do have a live audience, so if you'd like to ask a question, by all means do. We're joined by an individual who happens to write for the New York Times. Caller, do you have a question for the candidates? And be succinct. Hemingway said that an economy of words is the best thing, and you're a writer, so you know what I'm saying. Go right ahead, your question.
You know, Hemingway ended. Marty, thank you for taking my call. Once again, you look very handsome tonight.
Got this weird thing going with this guy.
Mr. Scotti, I'm actually a very pro-union guy. I'll make it very succinct.
Please.
Your pro-union stance will not fly with the mainstream Republican mantra right now. They're so anti-union across the country. Mayor, I live in Richfield. I've been a big fan of yours. I don't agree with you. I think you're the most professional politician on the panel tonight. Ms. Dean, you just made a comment about if we got rid of these cities, our educational standards would be one of the highest in the country.
No, I did not say that.
The cities are not going anywhere. Cities are part of the state. If you don't win the cities, you don't win the election.
Okay, besides a critique, this question, give us a question now.
My question tonight is why, after 15 years of Republican rule at the gubernatorial level, all of a sudden it's all Malloy's fault when we got 15 years of Rowland and Roe. How do you justify that?
Okay, good.
Because of Malloy. Why about 15 years of Rowland and Roe?
Good question. Thank you very much. Hold on a second. To quote Ronald Reagan again, it isn't so much that liberals are ignorant, it's just that they know so many things that aren't so. I thought that was good. I know. Martha, you want to correct the record? Go right ahead.
Yes, and then I think it's Mark's turn. So just very briefly, one...
I think he tells us what you
Okay. I didn't say that what this New York Times reporter just said. I said that when you eliminate from the data... There are statistics out there that say that America is way behind all sorts of countries, other countries, in terms of our education. And it's just not true. When the other countries select which parts of the population they want to measure, here we measure everyone, including our cities, our illegal immigrants, everyone is in the pot. When you subtract out the cities in Connecticut and you measure only the performance of our schools outside of the cities, in the suburbs, we have some of the finest educational institutions in the world, and we should not be trying to change what's good. We should not be spending money destroying what's already good.
Excellent. Okay. Jim, do you have a question for the candidates?
Yeah, I just want to say, obviously the end game is to beat Dan Malloy and Dan Malloy's policies and the legislature's policies. But before that, you have a convention coming up, and you have possibly a primary coming up. So I want you to focus on what distinguishes you from each other and why you think you're best qualified, and include in the conversation two of the people that aren't here, which would be Senator McKinney and Mr. Foley as well.
Why don't we, Joe, start with you and give us 2-3 minutes answering his questions. What is a distinctive element about you?
Just 2 minutes?
Well, go right ahead. I don't want to break your style.
Okay. John, Governor Rowland asked me that Friday on his radio show, what distinguishes you? I'm Italian, I'm charismatic, I connect with the people. I'm a sweatshirt candidate. In other words, I'm a contractor for 40 years, done $1 million projects, but I jump on the crew with the guys and the truck and the lumber yards. I build with my hands. I'm a common person that has already, in almost 1 year on the trail, built 1,500 people in my army of a campaign. So I'm qualified because I'm connecting, and I'd like to just address the New York Times writer, whoever he happens to be. I didn't say I was pro-union. I said we're going to need them to help us, okay? And we're going to need them, and they're saying they want to help because they don't want Malloy. But he'll get that proof, and he can write an article on it in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Just to correct him. I have the life experiences at 57 years old of being a builder, being a small business owner, having 3 children that I've raised in West Hartford, a very regulated construction industry, probably more regulated than even some things at the state capitol, dealing with workman's compensation, not one OSHA violation in 40 years. Connecticut is very difficult to build in. You can be licensed here. So my experience there, my experience on town council in West Hartford, fighting as an activist also, what differentiates me is I'm an activist, a conservative activist. And I live in the center of West Hartford. And I've done a lot of work there as an activist to keep our taxes low. So I will, as your governor, go out to the people if we get stonewalled. I won't be sitting there like Rel, where she's boxed in with a majority legislature and she won't go to the people. I will go right to the people, as I am right now in a year in the race, and ask them why and what they want. I'm doing that with small business owners right now. Small business owners are the job creators. We've already started last week doing testimonial videos, you'll see them on my website, asking the small business owners why they don't want a minimum wage increase, what are their hardships, even if they don't endorse me. So I'm doing that by putting posters up, by doing videos to 5,000 businesses in Connecticut before the primary, because here's a news flash today. CBS just put out that there was a poll done nationally today. 38% of American businesses say that they will fire, let go people if the minimum wage goes up. 56% said that they would reduce their labor force, and 64% said that they will raise the prices of the goods and services. I know that from I've been out in the field for a year. Small businesses need to be saved. And so I'm a small business owner. I've been out there in the field and gathering this information because right now without those job creators, and I believe I'm the best person that can connect with them with their hardships and the things that they're doing. I'm also a Republican, and this is important because a lot of people may not know about me out in this neck of the woods. I'm a Republican that is a national, an RNC Republican that will work and message with Democrats. And that's very important. In other words, I think the writer didn't get it right here. He doesn't understand that you can be RNC
In one
conservative.
short call, he's
you can
pretty
believe,
much screwed up
you
like
can
12 different
you can
things.
believe you can be an RNC.
Right.
That means a Republican National Platform candidate, but also message, especially the social issues.
Right.
And my key for the social is this: with all your newfound civil rights, just make sure that the government needs to make sure that newfound civil rights do not sideswipe or rear end your conservative religious values, traditional values. And the government needs to be a referee, a good, honest referee, and not get involved. I can go on, but we have
Okay.
more people here.
Mayor Bowden, how do you differentiate yourself with not just the candidates here, but there's also someone named McKinney and also named someone named Tom. By the way, I have an award if we can get a shot of this. This is the I Was Chicken to Show Up to the Debate Award. So Tom Foley, this is for you. I know you were in Baghdad and everything like that, but you couldn't come in here. Sorry, Mayor, I don't mean to have you be upset.
You're gonna hurt somebody with that.
I know. This is, you know. Next time they'll come in. These guys, don't get me started, but go ahead.
Well, we never did actually answer the New York Times writers.
Okay, so let's back up. Hold on.
Say that, but that's
What he was saying is, why are you blaming it all on Malloy?
Yeah, but I can't waste my time now on that. I mean, Jim's got a question on the table.
Go right ahead.
You can get it.
We can.
We'll circle back
Circle
around.
back to that
They'll
later.
call
but
back.
Just want to know for the record. Look, I just bring a different skill set to the job. I think that anybody that's willing to throw their hat in the ring and go out and talk about the issues that face Connecticut, that's a good thing for our party, and I encourage more people to get it if they want to run for governor. I think that's great. But the fact of the matter is I don't deal in theory. I don't deal in what things ought to be. I deal in what things have to be, because every morning when I wake up in Danbury, our trains have to run on time. There's no excuses for them not to run on time. So I bring just a different perspective, having served both in the legislature and as a CEO of the 7th largest city in the state, one that's won election or re-election 7 times in an urbanized area, in an era when I hear every time I go out, I hear Republicans talking about how are we going to win in the urban community. Well, that's all I've ever done, because I understand how to communicate with people, connect with people, and certainly share a vision of what Connecticut ought to be, or in this case, what Danbury ought to be. So those are just some of the skill sets that I can bring to the table in terms of a candidate. I will also tell you that it's pretty clear to me that the voters of our state have been very clear about what they don't want. They've been clear to tell us over the last 4 elections that they don't want to elect somebody that doesn't look like them or remind them of them or be somebody that they can empathize and say, that person is just like me. They've been clear about that. We've had people that have spent tens of millions of dollars in these races and they've lost. We've had a presidential candidate who got beat badly, a good presidential candidate, but he still got beat badly in Connecticut because the people of Connecticut couldn't identify with him in terms of what they were experiencing every day. So if we want to win this election, we're going to nominate somebody that understands what that lady right now who's coming out of Home Depot in Waterbury is experiencing, what that guy out in London who's walking into Stop and Shop, what he's experiencing. We want somebody that understands what it is to struggle, and at the end of the day will make policy decisions that will benefit the middle class of the state, which has been absolutely destroyed over the last 6 years. And that's the kind of discussion that I believe that I can lead a little bit differently. But again, I don't operate just in theory. I have to deliver 12 straight budgets and return a modest surplus to our fund balance every single year. I have a government that's smaller today than it was when I took office in 2001. I have the safest city in Connecticut, one of the safest cities in the United States of America. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the state right now. We have competitive property taxes and the lowest sewer and water rates in the state. Those things don't happen by a miracle or just happen. They happen because every day we spend time making sure that we deliver services to our best of our ability to our residents, and that's the same skill set that I'll bring as governor. But I'll also provide the big 50,000-foot picture of what Connecticut really needs to be, and that's going out and speaking on a daily basis with the residents of our state, sharing them a positive vision of Connecticut, and saying that it doesn't have to be this way. You know, I have a great niece who graduated from American University, a great college. 2 years ago, she's still looking for a full-time job. And you know, at her age, she thinks that's the normal. She thinks it's okay to have a great 4-year degree and not be able to find a job. I have people in my office that are crying every day that they're going to lose their home. They think that's the new normal, and that's just the way it's going to be. It's our job as elected officials and as candidates to share with people it doesn't have to be this way. And we're this way, yes, because of Governor Malloy. Yes, because of a legislature that's made poor decision after poor decision. And it's our duty to hold those folks accountable and to put the people in the position that can make the right policy choices for our state.
You know what? I'm going to work my tail off so you can stay in Danbury. You've done such a damn good job. No, Mark has done a great job.
Thanks, sir.
He really has.
I agree.
Gotta hand it to him.
Martha, the question, what are some distinctive issues or things about you that you bring vis-a-vis the other candidates, not just but also the other ones?
Yeah, let me first go back to the New York Times reporter who typical of the New York Times, they start with a premise that's false, and that was that I was criticizing Malloy or the legislature. I said exactly the opposite, that it's not the responsibility of these politicians because it's our responsibility. We keep electing them. They reflect our values. We need to change our values and decide we're going to spend less, borrow less, make government do only what it's supposed to do and make it do it well and stop infringing on citizens' core constitutional rights. When we decide as a people to do that, we'll elect good candidates who can do that. So that's first to correct the record with the New York Times. Secondly, what distinguishes...
That sounds so upbeat, you know. Okay.
Second, I'm an attorney, and I live my values through my legal practice. Many lawyers take on whatever case comes in the door. I don't. I turn away a lot of business. I do constitutional law. I've taken on, for the Roger Sherman Liberty Center, I've challenged the state and Governor Malloy over the balanced budget amendment. I am currently part of a national legal team that is challenging the post-Newtown firearms law, and I'd be happy to speak about that. And the idea is that case is going to be going all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, probably along with the New York SAFE Act case. So I live my values through my work. And where my values came from is from my family. I grew up in Vermont. And here's an example of what they taught me and what we need to be teaching in our schools, and especially in the urban areas. Because this empowers people. This is how you teach people to be able to raise themselves up in life. At age 6, I wanted a horse. I sat on my parents' bed and begged for a long time. My older sister was sitting there. My parents were there. And this is really indicative of how other countries think about rights. My oldest sister said, no, she can't have a horse because I don't have one. Now, who does that remind you of? Maybe the Soviet Union.
I've heard a chicken in every pot, but you're suggesting a horse in every stall?
My mother said she can't have one because no one in the family has ever had a horse. We don't know about horses. That sounds sort of like Great Britain. Stay in your place. You can't rise out of your rank. And my father said, who's an inventor and a professor of engineering, said, you know, Martha, we're not going to give you a horse. We have 5 kids, and I'm a professor and inventor. But I'll tell you, I'll teach you how to get one on your own. So from age 6 to age 11, I followed his plan. I got jobs mowing with a non-power mower, push mower, babysitting, etc. And at the age of 11, I bought my own horse for $550. The first day I rode it...
What was the horse's name?
Benji.
Benji.
Little Ben.
Sorry.
He was a very small horse because he cost $550. But the first day I ever rode him, he bucked me off, I came down, went up high, came down, was paralyzed from the neck down because my back bent the wrong way with 3 compressed vertebrae. My father called and said, the hospital, and said to my mother, "Dear, sell the damn horse." And my mother said, "No, honey, you told her she had to buy it for herself, and it's now hers to decide whether to keep it or sell it." So she understood property rights. My father understood give a man a fish, teach a man to fish,
Right.
don't give him a fish. And that's what we need to do with our students, because if
But
we
what,
teach
you
them.
broke your neck or your back and
I-
you were paralyzed, but you got better.
Yes, I was paralyzed from the neck down for about a day and a half. I
Oh.
had 3 compressed vertebrae,
Uh-huh.
was laid up for a long time.
All right,
I came back to go on to be a
excellent.
rider, competitive rider.